Ladies and gentlemen, he's born and bred here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal from a place that I'm sure all of you now know called Nkandla. He's a child of the ANC. He has served the people of South Africa prior to the dawn of democracy as a freedom fighter. He has served his time in prison. He has gone into incarceration over years in Robben Island, somewhere in Cape Town. He came out of prison. He was taken out of South Africa by the African National Congress, and he worked in the frontline states as one of those who have actually kept the information and knowledge of the African National Congress during those trying times, dealing with intelligence work, gathering what the others were plotting against our country and those that were actually delaying our own emancipation as a nation. He's a trained soldier. He has been a leader of the ANC here in KwaZulu-Natal, and by the way, he also reminded me this morning that he is a former provincial minister of the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal. So he was in charge of developing the economy, the long-term economic development strategy of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And even prior to that, I'm sure we all knew of some of the challenges that we went through as a country. He championed and spearheaded the peace process and reconciliation in this province. He has been a leader of the African National Congress, has been the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, the ruling party, the Deputy President of the ANC, and is now the President of the African National Congress, and is serving his second term that he will complete in 2019 post the elections when we have a new president. He is now here and today representing some of his peers, the 11 high-level panel of heads of states that are representing the world in a very important target that focuses on water and sanitation for all in the whole world. As I have said, it is none other than His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa in the ANC, President Jacob Zuma, who's now going to come to the podium and address this particular day, the World Water Day. And by the way, the world is looking at all of us as he's going to present here, including the United Nations. Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister Nomvula Mukonyane, the Minister who is directing the program today, Minister of Water Affairs. The Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Willis Mkhunu, Honorable Minister of Water Affairs once again, ministers who are here, and deputy ministers from South Africa and the other member states, the President of the African Development Bank, representatives of UN Water and Women for Water Partnership and all international agencies, the DDG of UNESCO, members of the Diplomatic Corps, esteemed delegates and guests, it is my honor to address you today on World Water Day on behalf of the United Nations World Water Assessment Programme's high-level panel on water. The high-level panel is co-chaired by United Nations Secretary General Mr. Antonio Guterres and the President of the World Bank Group, Dr. Jim Yong Kim. The panel seeks to inspire world leaders to provide political leadership and to galvanize support to accelerate the implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular, SDG 6 on water and sanitation. Today is a special occasion marking World Water Day 2017 and also the launch of the 2017 World Water Development Report. This key report is aimed at drawing attention to the current dismal global status of water and sanitation and to inspire commitment to an urgent call for action by world leaders to ensure the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the bleak global picture presented in the 2017 World Water Development Report requires world leaders to urgently prioritize the improvement of access to essential water and sanitation services. Thus far, 147 countries have met the SDG drinking water target. 95 countries have met the sanitation target, and only 77 countries have met both. These statistics do not do justice in conveying the development and health challenges faced by so many people, or in contextualizing how unevenly these basic services are distributed around the world and within societies. For an example, it was reported that in 2011, nearly 60% of the world's 1 billion extremely poor people lived in just 5 countries. It seems that little has changed since 2011. Looking ahead, this unacceptable situation will only get worse unless we join forces around the world to create equal chances for success at all levels in our race against time to secure the most precious resource of fresh water for current and future generations. The United Nations Commission on Population and Development estimates that the global population, which currently stands at about 7.3 billion people, may grow to 9.7 billion by the year 2050, with as many as 3.1 billion additional residents of urban areas. The largest increase in population is expected to happen here in Africa, followed by Asia. These are already amongst the regions most adversely affected by water and sanitation problems. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, whilst vividly presenting the distressing situation the international community currently finds itself in with regard to water and sanitation, the report and its call for action also sends a message of hope. We have the potential to create a new and more positive economic and social developmental pathway through, amongst others, water infrastructure investments, valuing water, catalyzing change, building partnerships, and international cooperation, as well as creating better human settlements and data. We have the United Nations 2030 agenda to point the way. Here in Africa, we have an even longer term and complementary sustainable development strategy in the form of the African Union's 2069 agenda. We also have practical examples on how to make progress towards achieving more equal societies, such as the gender mainstreaming strategy in the water sector advanced by the African Ministers' Council on Water. We also have the 2015 East London Gender Declaration that guides the regional sector decisions on water and women, as led by the Women for Water Partnership Network. On behalf of the high-level panel, I would like to welcome and acknowledge these strategic interventions. I also wish to further highlight the leadership role that Africans are playing in correctly contextualizing access to water and sanitation as a basic development right. Here in South Africa, we have even enshrined the basic right of all to sufficient food and water in our Constitution. Much more still remains to be done to fulfill this right, both here in South Africa and across the world, reinforcing the enduring relevance of our South African saying that says, and I quote, "Water is life, sanitation is dignity," unquote. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the commitment of the members of the high-level panel to the implementation of Agenda 2030 and SDG 6 remains unwavering. We believe in providing a platform that is a living example of global collaborative action for a new approach to water management. The panel provides leadership with an inclusive agenda that leaves no one behind, taking into account the cross-cutting nature and interdependence of water with the other sustainable development goals and the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities on which action on the Agenda 2030 is premised. The willingness of developed countries to honor their commitments on means of implementation support is a fundamental requirement to enable developing countries to achieve the SDGs. The panel, therefore, calls upon all leaders to contribute more and to build on what they are already doing in their respective countries, such as by advocating and championing activities and actions in support of the implementation of the SDG 6. This includes the launching of so-called lighthouse initiatives as best practice and models, and the hosting of international and regional conferences to share information. One of the key initiatives by the panel, which is being launched today, is the Access to Water and Sanitation Services for 10 Billion People initiative. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite all political leaders to support the political declaration that we will all adopt today on World Water Day 2017. We should all commit to achieving the pledge of leaving no one behind globally and in our respective countries and communities in support of SDG 6 on water and sanitation. On this important day, it is befitting to recall the words of the 20th century poet W.H. Auden, who said, quote unquote, "Thousands have lived without love, no one without water." If we are to go by these words of wisdom, let us all take action and spare no effort to free our fellow men, women, and children from the abject and dehumanizing conditions of extreme poverty. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to declare this summit open and to officially launch the 2017 World Water Development Report. I thank you.
Another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all thank His Excellency the President, as well as the member of the high-level panel, for the address that he has presented, which will go as part of our records come 2030 when we assess the work that has been done so far.